Welcome everybody, welcome dear suppliers to our webinar of Streamliner. Today we will talk you through about our intentions, about our collaborations we have just started with Streamliner. Streamliner is in fact a B2B platform where it will allow us to do a better communication about the supply chain we have together with you. So I think Chris van Ransbeek, co-founder of Streamliner, which is the presenter of today, will tell you a lot more about that. But let me first talk you through the agenda of today, where of course I already did the little welcome word, and then Chris will tell you about Streamliner a bit more, and then we will go to the part where we'll explain you how to set up the account, and then furthermore how Streamliner really works and how it will become an added value for all of us. So I already gave a short intro on Chris van Ransbeek. He's, so like I said, the co-founder of Streamliner. And then in this call, we have a lot of people from Makro, Metro, Cash and Carry. Amongst of them is Lise and Joyce, which will be the key users of Streamliner, and in many cases also your point of contact. Furthermore, please mute yourself because that will help us in having a little better communication today. And if you have a question, please do not hold it to the end of the session. You are welcome to raise your hand via Teams, and then we will for sure answer your question during the session. So I would say, Chris, I will leave up the session to you, and let's keep a couple of seconds of silence.
Good morning, everybody. And thank you very much for joining. The purpose of today is to give you a short introduction of what Streamliner is and help you to onboard your company, and also give you a demonstration of how Streamliner works operationally. As Lawrence already told you, it's really not the purpose that I'm only talking. Please raise questions by raising your hands in Teams. We'll try to answer them. The purpose of this session is to really have a training for you, which you will record, and it's also going to be a training of your colleague suppliers on how to onboard Streamliner. But let me start with why Streamliner was created. The founders of Streamliner all have been working in IT supply chain for many decades. And we've seen that a lot of, let's say, evolution have taken place, but there is a certain pain which was actually never really well tackled. And that is the silos within the supply chain. You suppliers are always trying to serve the best way, and trying to do that, you need updated information. Your carriers are always trying to be on time. For that, they need to be taking good, let's say, appointments, but also be able to share information whenever something goes wrong. The warehouse needs to plan, but they need to know what is coming and what is expected from them, and so on, all the way down to the stores. Companies are actually more islands than elements of a supply chain. So I think in a lot of cases we could talk more about a supply atoll instead of a supply chain. We've been focusing on saying, how can we make sure that the people working in the supply chain are better connected? Because we see that those people, once in their private life, they are very happy and agile using tools like Messenger or WhatsApp. And we all know, try to organize a barbecue with 10 people by just emailing each other versus setting up a little WhatsApp group is actually much easier. And this is where Streamliner was born. It was the combination of where we say in the supply chain, we want to connect the people, not only the system, by allowing the people to really work as they work in their private life. We're not replacing the ERP systems. We're not replacing SNOP or WMS systems. We're not replacing the EDI. We're just an additional communication layer, which makes sure that every stakeholder in the supply chain has always access to the same real-time data and can communicate directly with the right person on the other side around objects of the orders. In this, call it supply chain WhatsApp tool, we've also built plugins. What you would recognize from your iPhone, which we call apps, is really functions which happen a lot with automated. like making an appointment, uploading documents, sharing issues around reception, and all these elements are really supply chain related. And this gives retailers, their suppliers, and the carriers an ability to have more visibility, optimization, and work better. That's the purpose of supply chain, of Streamliner. Now, what are we gonna talk about today is really two elements. Is really how to set you up. That's something you have to do once, and there's a very important note to make. It's something you don't do only for Makro. You will see that in the near future, other retailers will also start using Streamliner. In that case, you don't need to do a new setup. Your company, your users, your locations, your carriers are there. You will just have to join another customer's community. It's very important to note that whatever happens in that community is totally shielded off to others. So whatever happens in the community of Makro is only between you and Makro. What happens in the community of another retailer with you is only between you and that retailer. Makro will not even see that another supplier has joined Streamliner, but for you, you will only need to manage your company once. Once we've gone through the setup, which is very straightforward, we'll take you to a short demo of Streamliner or real life, following the order, making a package, a shipment, and the delivery. So let's get started with step one, is how to set up your company, which is really 5 things. And it's important that you really get these 5 concepts in your mind. You, first of all, create a company, then you add users, then you add locations, then you join the community of your customer, and then you invite carriers. Once that is done, you are all set up. So let's start with step 1. You've all received this email, which is the registration email. It's really how to set up your company. And we'll go through the process where you set up your company, you register it, using your VAT number, you make a unique company, and you will activate it by clicking on the activation. So let me go through a real life case. So here you see in the demo environment, hello Chris, we've invited a company Ontex. So this is an email which you would be sent to an email of Ontex. Here's a demo, and you click on this button, and this will take you to the Streamliner platform. Streamliner platform is a SaaS tool which runs on the web, so no need for any investment. It's free for you. It is, you don't need to do any investment in hardware nor in software. You only need a computer with an internet connection. So you've clicked on the invitation, on the button on the invitation mail, and you will come to the first screen where you create your company. You give your company a name, Ontex. This is the mail. Use your name. It is whatever Chef Antoine Chris from Ontex. This is the email to which we send. You can at this stage, if you want to use another email than the invitation email, you can change it here. It's very important that in this location, in this moment, you will create what we call the primary user. The primary user is the first user which the maximum number of rights. There are 4 levels. There is a primary user, the company owner, the administrator, and the user. It's always important that the primary user is an email address that doesn't change. It's now linked to a private person, but you've got another more generic email address like info@your-company. You can also use that email, but it's important that you've got access to the messages sent to that email. And then you choose your own password. Important to remember the password and write it somewhere now. Step 1 is done. Step 2 is you need to enter your VAT number. We will check that companies are not created twice. So if the VAT number is already used, you will get a warning. This is to avoid that the database gets populated by multiple identical companies. So this VAT number will be checked. I'm now just going to copy the one of Ontex. You validate. This is a check with the VS database. Context is known. You click to overview. On. You, very important, you accept the terms and conditions, the privacy policy, the cookie policy. They can be consulted. They are very standard policies, and you create your account. This is as much as it takes for you to set up your company. And now, as you hear, you will receive again from Streamliner 2 emails. Very important. One email is really to activate your account. The only thing you have to do on this account, it again says it's for free. You click and it will confirm you saying you're set, all to go. And then the second email you've received is actually the invitation to join the Makro community. It's very important you create your company and then you have to join the Makro community. If you're going to be invited by a second retailer, because now you see that you've received 3 emails, the email invitation for your company, the confirmation email that your company has been created, and the invitation email to join the community of Makro. Once you've created your company and a new retailer invites you, you will only receive this 3rd email, which is to join the community. Now you're set, your company has been created and you've joined the community. Any question so far? No?
Seems to be clear, Chris. You can continue.
Okay, that's good. In that case, I'm going to continue and I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. So, you've invited, you've created your company. The second step is to invite other people, because at this stage in your company, there's only one user. You will see that when you're on Streamliner, there is in your company, you got communities, users, and supply chain. In the users, you can invite all the people, there is no limitation, all the people you feel that should have access to Streamliner. Typically, what are we talking about? Customer service users, with people which are receiving the orders and are validating the orders. Then your warehousing people. This can be, of course, internal people, but it can also be an outsourced warehouse. There's no limitation. You can invite within your company people of whatever retailer, XPO, Kuehne+Nagel, whoever operates your warehouse. You can also invite them as warehousing people. It's very important that the people you need to invite is the people who are in contact with either your external transportation company who makes appointments for you, or if you do it yourself, the people who make the appointments to go and deliver to Fiege. So those people should be invited, so that it can be your own logistics staff or can be outsourced staff. Potentially, you can also give access to people from accounting, because it also claims will also be visible through Streamliner, or even account managers, sales managers, because there's also going to be your performance, your on-time delivery of your carrier will be visible. So it's also good when they go to meetings with the product manager of Makro, that they are at least aware of the service the way Makro sees it. So up to you to add as many users as you want. We can do a very quick demo of how you can create a user. I'm going to now log in as the OnText users. So here you see the invitation of the community, which you accept. And here you see the users. So the users is very simple. You have got here a button of add. You add a user. You type his name, very important, the email address. And here is the 4 levels. Now it's very important that you're the primary owner in the beginning. You can create company owners can create administrators can create users. So in the beginning, it's the best is that the team managers, you would make them administrator, so they can then add their own users. But it's up to you what your organization is. Very important, the data you fill in here is visible. So you don't need to fill in telephone numbers, you don't need to fill in office phones. If you do, be aware that that information will be visible. So share whatever you feel that needs to be shared. The only information which is mandatory is, of course, a name and an email address. You're totally free to add as much information as you want to share with the outside world, and you can add as many users as you want. It's always helpful to add the job title because that makes it clear who's who in a company. Once you've created a user, the third step in your setup is setting up your supply chain, and that's a location. You need to put here at least one location where the goods can be picked up. So it's the warehouse out of which you deliver Makro. If you get more, you can add more. If you want to create a structure, you can first group them in a folder and then add a location. But the most simple element is just add a location. You give it a name, call it warehouse Ontex Belgium. The type is a warehouse, and you type in an address. Now here is very important that you type the address the way it is known on Google Maps. So in the background, when you type in an address, we are going to do a check to see if we find this address in Google Maps. If it's not found in Google Maps, we'll give you an error saying this address is not known in Google Maps, and then you have to go to Google Maps and type in the address. Why do we do this? Is to avoid that the same locations are created 2, 3, 4 times, and you start getting wrong data where it looks like it comes from different locations where actually it is from the same location. You will see further this is important because we allow certain combination of orders coming from the same location, so it needs to be really exact. And then at the bottom, very important, you click this Enable Yard Management. That way, it is the tool will allow you to load from that location. You click on Add Location, and you select. If here appears a little orange triangle, that means that you've got a spelling error versus Google Maps. So, summary, you've created your company, you've added users by putting on add, you've created at least one location where you enabled the yard management, and you've accepted to enter into the community. So at this moment, we are already totally done except one step. So as you see, it goes really very smoothly. You manage your users, you add users, you manage your locations, at least one location, very important. Enable yard management. Make sure you use the same spelling as Google Maps. And then you're in the community of Makro. And then comes the last step, which is make sure that you add carriers. So let's now go back to, let's go back to the demo. You're now in the community. Very important. In the community, there is a start screen, which is a little bit like a digital information wall. Makro will put on that digital information wall important messages for its suppliers and its carriers. It's a public billboard. Everybody sees that information. Makro can add files to any message. Those files will remain in here. So it's always whatever procedure, whatever instructions, when you go to files, you will always find the last version of that information. You don't need to look for what did they send me 3 months ago. This is going to be the central repository of all the logistics supply chain procedures used at Makro. An important feature is you can comment on a message posted by Makro. Important to remember, this is a public wall. So this is not a private communication between you and Makro. This is you communicating with all the suppliers and all the carriers of Makro. So be very careful on what you put there, but it's available. Then in the community, because now we're in the community of Makro, you see that there is something called companies. Here you will see all the other members who are part of the community of Makro. There are different types. There are suppliers, like you are. There's only one receiver, which is Makro. And there's also carriers. Your carriers is the carriers you use to supply Makro in case you don't have your own trucks. If you got your own trucks, you don't need to create a carrier. But this carrier is the person who will actually make an appointment at Fiege in your name. Now, if you want to add a carrier, you actually invite your carrier. You click on invite, and here you can do two things. You can say, for example, the first time when you're onboarding, you want to see, does my carrier already exist? So you might start by typing his name, and you say, I'm using Disterlog. Disterlog is a carrier, I will invite him. Or if you're using DHL, you can say, DHL is already existing in the chain. If not, you type in the email address of your carrier. You might say like demo plus transport OMTEX, whatever. Then your carrier will be invited. It's important to inform your carrier that what is the process the carrier will have to go through, because he will get an invitation mail like you did, and he has to go through the same steps we went through. This is, he has to create his company, add users, add a location, and accept your invitation. So this document, it's up to you to share this with your carrier, and he can also say we're going to create also future training sessions. You can also inform him to take part of those training sessions, but as you're the only one who knows who's your carrier, the initiative lies with you to contact your carrier and tell him to join and invite him to join the Streamliner community. Is that clear? Very important, when you invite a carrier, agree the contact person of your carrier, go to the community, go to companies, invite the carrier. If the invitation is not sent, there's always, we'll talk to the support page. There is a support page where there's a little explanation, what we call the step-by-step guide to onboard the carrier. And how do you access this support page? When you're in Streamliner, you see here a button support. When you click on the support button, you can go to the support center. This is a support center, support.streamliner.cloud. And here you find all little articles, set up your supply chain, mini guides, or you can also type in like a question and say like, okay, carrier, step-by-step guide on onboarding a carrier, you click on it, and this is to help your carrier on say, what does he have to do to onboard your carrier. As a little PDF which you can share with your carrier. So always, when you have a question, go to support and the support center and type in your question in the central screen or scroll through different documents. It's like all articles, PDFs, which explain Streamliner step by step. So at this stage, we are set. You have created your account on Streamliner. As we said, we've been busy for now like 20 minutes. So really, in less than an hour, you set up your company, you've added users, you've created a location, you joined the Makro community, and in the Makro community, you have invited your carrier. Is that clear so far on what the one-time setup, and again, I repeat it, the setup you have to do once. If other retailers start using Streamliner, your work is going to be limited to inviting their invitation. Same thing for your carriers. If you created the carrier once, you will have to invite him again in the new community, but it's just one click and you're in those communities. Before I go any further, let's take a little pause for some questions at this stage. Any questions from the suppliers? Is it all clear?
I have a question about the carrier. Did he have to create an account? Is he obliged to create an account or not?
Your carrier.
Yes.
Yes, because if you, no, there are two possibilities. If you got your own trucks, you can make yourself the appointments to go and deliver.
Yeah, okay.
Then you don't need a carrier. But if you're using an external carrier, which might come in a truck with pallets from different suppliers, and they want to, because in Streamliner, if a carrier comes with 3-4 orders from different suppliers, they only need to make one appointment for the different orders. So then you can, it's better to, of course, make your carrier known at the point. Because then he will be using Streamliner and he will be booking the slots.
Okay, thanks.
So this is, there's no questions, please, in the future, if there are questions, ask again. This is the setup. And now I will be going to Streamliner to give you a small demo of Streamliner operationally. And there it's important to note, I will go first Streamliner logged in as a macro user. Then I will exit Streamliner, and then I will log in Streamliner as a supplier. In this case, I've used Haagt as the demo supplier. So let me go now to Streamliner and give a demo. I'm going to sign out. So this is the start screen. It's a SaaS tool. So everybody sees the same screen. So I'm going to sign in as a macro user. This is what macro sees. They see Streamliner. Everybody, every time you log in, you have to go through this message wall. And these are the two operational tools. Streamliner, everything around the appointments and the deliveries. And this is everything around your performance scorecards. Let me go to the operational tool. Fiege warehouse, you see 4 elements: the dashboard, orders, package, shipment. Orders is the orders which Makro has sent to you suppliers. Important to note, when you now go to Streamliner, you will not yet see orders. We've decided that we're going to start on the 27th of September, operationally with Streamliner. As of that point, the slot booking tool of Fiege will no longer be accessible for you. So any order delivered on the 27th of September or later will be in Streamliner. So you will need to connect to Streamliner a few days before, make sure that you will see your orders. So this is the orders. Very important to note, and I'm going to make a little sidestep. I'm going to go to notifications. In the beginning, when you create your account, this button will be active, which is notifications. Streamliner as a tool will send automatic messages if certain exceptions happen. However, to avoid that your email box is filled with messages which are not relevant for you, we give you in Streamliner full control of which message you want to receive. And how do you do this? Is you go to the community, because you might have different needs for different communities. You go to inbound, you go to members. In the members, you look for yourself. You go to edit, and here, these are all the automatic messages that Streamliner is going to send you. And here you can choose by group or by individual message, which message is relevant for your role. These are messages around order, we call order-related messages. This is packages, transport-related messages, and these are shipments or delivery-related messages. So up to you, you can choose to have less or more messages. Don't switch them off all, because there is of course a communication need. So whenever an issue is raised, it means that Makro has got a problem with your delivery. Don't block that message, because this is actually when there's a problem with the delivery. So it's really experimented beginning in function of your role of what you find the relevant messages. I go back to Streamliner. I've got the orders. And then packages is not relevant. And then you got the shipments, which is actually the deliveries. Very important, whatever Makro sees, you are going to see exactly the same on the same moment. So when you're in contact with Makro, be sure that Streamliner is always, it's one tool, it's one size environment available for both tools. So I'm now going to log out. You see here that Makro has placed a few orders with the supplier Hacht. See, there's an order on the 27th, and here you see a color code. You see, green means the order is placed. The second stage, packed, means that Hacht has informed its transport company to come and pick up the order. So it's a sign for Makro, the order is being picked up. Shipment booked means that the carrier has booked a delivery slot to come and deliver. And complete means that Fiege has received the order, and then the status has changed. So it's a very easy way to follow and track where the orders are. Here you see all the orders. Let me now log out and go to logging in as Hacht. Again, community, Makro community, the users of Hacht, one user, and the supply chain of Hacht, the warehouse with, of course, yard management and it. I go into the community of Makro. You see, I'm I always go to the messaging board. Here you'll find the necessary information which Makro shares with you. And then I will go into Streamliner, which is the operational order book. Here, as hard, I only see my orders. I have got no access to the other orders. And I can see the status on saying, like, okay, I've got one order. This one is already packed. Here you see like a little gray. It means that if you're not using a transportation company, meaning you as hard do your salary transportation, this bubble will become gray because you will make yourself directly the delivery. And what you see here is a new order. And they say, I've got a new order, expected delivery date, the 27th of August. What do I now have to do? I have to make an appointment, or I have to ask my carrier to make an appointment. You click on the order, and like the shopping, you can add it to your basket. It goes to the basket. If you would have 2, 3, 4 orders for the same day, you can add them all one by one to your basket and make an appointment for one delivery. So it's very important. You can combine orders. And here you see a comment button. This is the chat function within Streamliner, where you can discuss directly with Makro on saying, whatever, I will deliver this as asked tomorrow, or whatever relevant information the green flavor is missing. So you can already inform Makro of certain information. This message is instantly shared with Makro, with the demand planner who is following R. They will actually get a notification saying, watch out, the supplier has sent a message. And you can start having a chat session. So you've added the order to your basket, and now you can do 2 things. If you transport yourself, you book. If you use a carrier, you pack. Let's use the case of, I'm going to use an external transport company. You click on pack. And again, in your organization, you must decide who does this. Is this the customer service, or is this the warehouse? Up to you, and that user must have access to Streamliner. We only have one location. If you got more locations, then Streamliner will allow you to inform your carrier where you have to come and pick it up. You say, okay, when can I come and pick it up? For example, today at 4 o'clock. And here, very important, you have to give the volume. You have to inform Fiege on saying how many pallets of what type. For example, stackable block pallets, the order will be 20 pallets. That is key, that whenever you book a slot, you inform Makro and Fiege of the volume the order will be. Here you got a little click where you can say order complete or not. Meaning, if you're going to deliver a second time, you don't click this, and the tool will allow you to book a second slot on this order. If you click here, you are informing Makro and saying, this is going to be delivery, nothing more, nothing less. And here you can add your internal number, which you're going to share with your carrier. Your ISN number, ABC. But work done. So as you see, it is really very straightforward, and immediately this information becomes also visible. Because I go back to the order screen, you now see that this status is green. At the same time, Makro sees this. So they know, the order has been sent to a carrier, and now it's up to the carrier to go and deliver it. Can now log out as hard because I've done my job. And I'm now going to log in as the carrier. The carrier, as today, they have to book an appointment in in vegan. So for them, they are used to do that. They're just going to use a different solution. Very important. If this is the way, if more customers of the carriers are using Streamliner, you got always the retailer totally separated. So there is no danger for any information sharing. The carrier, same element. He also gets this information. Very important that information is shared with him. He goes to Streamliner, and of course, he's got a different screen. He only sees the instructions he's got. And he says, aha, I've got here an appointment. I've got to make, I haven't done my work yet. I have to make an appointment for those deliveries. And he sees, I've got 2 orders. Well, one, I'm a day late, but let me add this to a basket. And this one, I'm also going to add to the basket. And I book. So immediately, as you see, you allow to combine. Of course, as you're now no longer in the right dates, you have to select a date. Of course, you're now going to get in the KPIs, you're going to get, of course, a marking that one of the orders was delivered 1 day late. Still, Streamliner will propose to the carrier the first available slot to go on delivery. He doesn't want to go on 6:30, first at 9:30, he can choose his own slot. But Streamliner always proposes the first available slot. And he books a slot. Oh, that's as much work as he needs to do. And again, if we now go back, the status has changed. This is also now 2 green buttons. And Makro and Haag will see that the carrier has booked a slot. And then the last step, which is I'm now back into the Streamliner of Makro, but at vegan. At vegan, they're going to use Streamliner to share with you the real-time status of the receiving. That's also very important. So here we're now in shipment. And here I'm going to find my Haagd delivery. What you see is that on this delivery, and this is very important, this unique number, this is the number you will have to enter, because the carrier has to enter when he enters the Figo warehouse. In the kiosk, there's a kiosk. He will have to identify himself with this unique, what we call shipment number. So it's very important that you inform your carriers, by this number we will know that supplier Haagd by carrier Pisterlock with those 2 orders is available. These are the pallets, so everything is known. Of course, it came 1 day late, but we're still going to accept it. And then there's going to be the timestamping. So it's very important, we'll have objective timestamping the moment he enters this number into the kiosk, the time will be noted. So no more discussion about, I've been waiting there for 3, 4, 5 hours. This will be objective and will be compared versus the time he agreed to come. When he is entering the warehouse, when the barrier opens, that's the next timestamp, and when he's docked, that's the 3rd timestamp. And then Figi is receiving. In real time, they can now raise issues, and that's very important. They are receiving, and for example, they are saying, "Oi, there's an issue. There is, for example, incorrect or missing information on the delivery notes. And there's a difference on the pallets." As soon as they say, so while the delivery is still ongoing, you are going to get a notification, as I explained you in the beginning. This is the beep you heard on the background, on saying, hey, there is an issue with your delivery. They can also add documents. For example, they can say, oh, look, there was a damage. This picture will be immediately available to you. So People can share information while delivery is going on, and they can send you comments. The shipment shifted during transport. This you will get is very important. You can, in the real time, answer on this message also in Streamliner. So if you need an extra clarification, so the purpose is actually not to try to solve the claims 3, 4, 5, 6 months after delivery, but in the delivery, if you receive the information there's an issue, ask the question, send me an additional picture, do this or that, so that at least when the claim comes, all the information is there. And that's also why it's important you maybe have somebody from accounting also having an access to Streamliner, because here we will keep the records of all the deliveries. You unload, meaning out. This gate 3 will be triggered by, in the case Makro, when the reception is completed and when what we call the famous validation 2 is done in NMS, and then that button will go totally green. And then the shipment is complete, and tomorrow it will no longer be visible on the list. You can always look it up here, because when you look here, you can go always back and say, show me not only the open one, but also the past one. So they remain in the system forever. So it's also a database of all the historical shipments. So here we are coming to the end of our information. We've explained you what Streamliner is. We've explained you in detail what you have to do once to create your company, add users to your company, add the location of the warehouse out of which you supply Makro to the company, join the Makro community, and then within the Makro community, invite the carrier you're using to go and deliver Makro. And once you've set up your company, we've shown you how in Streamliner you can see your orders, how you can actually combine orders which for the same delivery day into a package which you send to your carrier, how your carrier books a slot, and how via Streamliner you can follow up the reception and all the document sharing around the reception via Stream. At this stage, are there any further questions, and are you feeling confident that you can set up your company and start using Streamliner? We will share this presentation again on the support. This is very important. The support, if you got a question, go to the support site of Streamliner, raise your question. There's always also, if you're really stuck, there is Makro, but there's also here what we call the live chat. You can also raise here a question on Streamliner. If you are really stuck in the tool, we'll answer that.
Yes, Chris, thank you so much. We see a question in the audience from Florin.
Yes, I have a question about the orders. Makro and Metro are still going to send them by email, or are we going to have the orders on the Streamliner?
Both.
No. Both. No, this does not replace any EDI or email order system you have, because you will see that on Streamliner, the detail of the order is not there. It's just the header of the order. So the detail you will still find in your EDI message or in your email.
Okay, thank you.
But it's very important that you can check that you have all the orders. So every order you find in Streamliner, you should have the other order.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, I see another question from Diana.
Yes, thanks. I'm a supplier too, and I would like to know, normally we receive the orders by email. If I have a change, for example, I cannot deliver the whole order, then I will inform you as supplier, and then I have to change the expected delivery quantity at Streamliner too. Is this correct?
No, that's not correct. I think there are the possibility Streamliner offers you is to tell us within Streamliner that you are shipping a complete order.
Yes.
So, for example, when you have an order which is consisting out of 2 trucks, you can mention it via Streamliner, but the quantities as such you cannot adapt in the order because you only have the header, as Chris explained you. But it gives you the possibility, for example, to type in a message towards Makro and towards Vige that, for example, for a number of items, you will ship less boxes. But of course, in the end, normally you will also adapt it on your shipping or packing list.
Okay. Okay.
And then if you, for example, say that you're going to deliver the saldo later, then you can say in Streamliner, I make a first appointment on that day, and you can make on the same order a second appointment for a week later. And you can say in the comment, the saldo which contains of this and this will be delivered 2 weeks later.
Yes.
If you deliver the saldo, if you don't deliver the saldo, then of course you just inform Makro of you order 100, I'm only going to deliver 50, and your 50 are never going to come. So that's a communication you can put in Streamliner.
Okay, and if I inform that, for example, one article will be delivered a little bit less, then if I put this information into Streamliner, do I have to send an email too, or is the information in Streamliner enough?
In fact, it would be enough to do it in Streamliner. That's actually also one of the big advantages, that we can use Streamliner as a communication platform between us, our logistic platform Vige, but also you as a supplier.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's easier than before, I think. And I've got another question. Before, for example, if I have invited a carrier, and then he would like to book a time slot, I first have to put the order into the basket. Then he can only see it, right?
Correct.
Okay, good. And my last question, if I invite some other peoples who are working at my company, do they have to create another account, or do we share my account?
No, what's going to happen is that, so you're going to set up the company, you're going to set up the location, you're going to invite the carriers. The new users, you will invite your users. The only thing they will have to do is accept your invitation. So you will invite the users, and they will get in their email an invitation button on saying accept invitation, and then they will be in Streamliner. There's a possibility in Streamliner they can add their own picture. So they can, very important, they must then choose which notifications they want to receive, because they might have different roles. So every user manages his own notifications, but they don't need to set up a company. They just need to accept your invitation. So it's a one-step process.
Okay. And if I, for example, invite my colleague, maybe I will be on holiday and my colleague needs to confirm the orders, that's possible too when I have invited her before.
Yes, you just need to invite all the colleagues which use Streamliner. You can also, if a person leaves your company, you see that you'll go in Streamliner, there's also a possibility to delete your user.
Oh, okay.
It's totally your responsibility, and that's one of the philosophies of Streamliner, is you manage all your users. You create, you delete them, you maintain it. So Makro must be sure that whoever is on holiday or is sick, there's always somebody else on the other side who's going to actually see the orders. But that's your responsibility.
Okay, now I've understood everything. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great, Diana. Thanks for your questions, and happy to be able to clarify them. Any other questions from the audience, please? Seems not. So that leaves me to thanking you, Chris, to the presentation. It was very clear. Thank you. Then I also want to wish you a lot of luck with kicking off with Streamliner. As Chris mentioned, the orders will be in there as of the 27th of September. A couple of days in advance, you already can start preparing the appointments you have to make, and of course the other things you can do within Streamliner. And then I think we just done it within the hour. So thank you all for your attention, and talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you too. Bye.
Thank you.